This week's Daily Dose Learning has been sponsored by Mr. Yosef Kalatizadeh, Leilui Nishmat Devorah Bat Yehoshua, Ruach Adonai T'chakana Began Eden. Yesterday we began discussing in the Mishnah that women are Peturot from Shema Yisrael. Women are exempt from the mitzvah of Shema Yisrael, just as they are exempt in general from all mitzvot aseh she'azman grama, from all mitzvot aseh which are time bound, which the mitzvah is designated for a certain time period. They're exempt from those mitzvot. So Shema Yisrael, how is it time bound? There's a certain deadline. You can say it in the morning up until a certain time. You can say it in the evening up until a certain time. So it's a time bound mitzvah. They're exempt. They're not required to say it. And Tefillin, same thing. Oh, what about Shabbat? So first of all, positive commandment. Shabbat is an excellent portion. So first thing is positive commandment, meaning Hashem said do something. Shabbat, Hashem said do something, or Hashem said not do something. Hashem said don't work on Shabbat. Don't light a fire on Shabbat. So the first thing is the 39 categories of Shabbat are do not do, so which women are obligated. But the question becomes, and this is a fascinating question, that's Shamor. What about Zachor? What about Kiddush? Right? Shabbat has two parts, Zachor and Shamor. Right? In Parashat Yitro, it says Zachor et Yom HaShabbat. In Parashat Vayetchanan, it says Shamor et Yom HaShabbat. When Moshe repeated the laws, the Aseret HaDibrot, he didn't say Zachor, he said Shamor. Hashem told you Shamor et Yom HaShabbat. So which one is it? Hashem said Zachor, he said Shamor. So we say in Lechadodi, we say Shamor ve'Zachor ve'Dibur echad. Hashem said them as one. We heard them at the same time. And what's the difference between, right? Only Hashem can do that, right? Shamor ve'Zachor ve'Dibur echad. One Shamor and one Zachor together at the same time. And you heard them at the same time. What's the difference between them? Shamor is the 39 categories that Hashem said do not do on Shabbat. 39 melachot. Don't plant your field, don't work, don't light a fire on Shabbat, don't build on Shabbat, all the things which are forbidden to do on Shabbat. Zachor is Zachor b'peh. Is what are we required to do on Shabbat? What are we required to do on Shabbat? Kiddush. Mitzvah say to do Kiddush. Every Shabbat you have to say, because 6 days Hashem created the heaven and the earth. We are copying Hashem, and because of that we are keeping the Shabbat. A person has to say the Kiddush every Shabbat. So are women obligated in Kiddush or they're not obligated in Kiddush? But is it a mitzvah that says she'azman grama? Is it a time-bound commandment? It is a time-bound commandment. It's only on Shabbat. So how are women obligated? They're not obligated. They're obligated or they're not obligated? So Gemara says this is an exception to the rule. The women are obligated in Kiddush. Women have an obligation in Kiddush. And the reason is because since they are obligated in Shamor, they're obligated in Zachor. We connect Shamor and Zachor together. Since they're obligated in Shamor, they're obligated in Zachor. So usually, if we were following the rule, women don't have to say Kiddush. They're exempt from Kiddush. But because we connect Shamor with Zachor, women are obligated in Kiddush, and it's very important to know that they're obligated in Kiddush because there's a halacha that when it comes to fulfilling a mitzvah for somebody else, somebody wants to do a mitzvah for somebody else, it says only someone who is obligated in the commandment is able to fulfill it for somebody else. So you take Kiddush for example. Every one of us at the table has to say Kiddush. How do we do it? Shomea ka'oneh. One person says it, everybody else answers Amen. The person that's saying it, he has to be obligated in the mitzvah. So if a child says the Kiddush for everybody at the table, does he fulfill the mitzvah for everybody? if he's not bar mitzvah yet, they don't fulfill the mitzvah. He's not obligated. He's a child. It has to be someone who's obligated. What about a woman? Can a woman say the kiddush for the rest of the family? So if the husband's not around, the woman's allowed to say it. The woman fulfills the mitzvah for everybody else at the table. The Gemara says a woman, since she is obligated, she fulfills the mitzvah for everybody. However, Chachamim Amru, Tavo Me'eraz, it said a curse should come on somebody that his wife is making kiddush in the house. It says, Lama, why? It says because it shows the husband doesn't know how to read, the husband doesn't know how to say kiddush.
What if husband is out of town?
If the husband's out of town, yes, for sure. But it says, Tavo Me'eraz, said Hashem should curse the husband that he needs his wife to say kiddush for him. Tavo Me'eraz, the Gemara says. It says that his wife is saying kiddush and he doesn't know how to say kiddush.
So as long as you don't do anything that's in regards to these 39 categories of malacha, and you say your kiddush, you don't have to
That was not the conclusion.
I don't think that's.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, if the husband is sick, sure. If the husband is sick, she's allowed to say kiddush.
Out of town.
Yeah. Especially either the mother can say it or any child over the age of bar mitzvah, he can also say it. In the Persian culture, especially, he has to be over bar mitzvah for kiddush. He has to
What
be
about girls?
bar chiyuva.
No.
Same thing over the age of bat mitzvah.
What is 12?
Over the age of 12, she's obligated in the mitzvah. She has to hear kiddush. You can't tell them, let them just stay upstairs for kiddush. They have to come. They have to be at the table. They have to.
Where this 12 came from?
Where did the age of 12 come from? And it's part of what we spoke yesterday. It's not something explicit in the Torah, but it's something which in every society you need. In every society you need an age which you say, before this age he's a child, and after this age he's an adult.
Meaning technically it's a range based on the demographics of different places where girls mature and advance from.
Yeah, so for girls there were a few different stages. That first she's a katana, then she becomes a na'ara, and then she becomes a bogeret. Torah has a few different categories, but up until age 12, and then by age of 12 and 6 months, 12 and 13, she for everything and everything she's considered an adult. But for general mitzvot, age 12 already she's considered an adult. Okay, we got off tangent. Paturin mikriyat Shema. So the women are not obligated in Shema Yisrael, they're not obligated in tefillin. Why not tefillin? Because tefillin, we don't put on tefillin at nighttime. We don't put on tefillin on Shabbos and on Yom Tov. So it's a mitzvah which is time bound. Rav Ovadia says because of that, if a woman wants to say Shema Yisrael, she should not say the brachot. Or she should say the brachot without Hashem's name. Because Faradiyot shouldn't say brachot whenever the women are keturot. However, our minhag is we do it. The woman can say the brachot for Kriyat Shema. Chayavin b'tefillah. They're obligated in tefillah. They're obligated in the mitzvah to say tefillah, to say the amidah. The question is, what do they mean by this when they say chayavin b'tefillah? So Rashi and Tosfot and the Gemara says tefillah was also time on shacharit, mincha, arvit. The Gemara answers rachamenu. It says no. Tefillah is we are asking for mercy from Hashem. We are praying directly to Hashem. Women are obligated, and according to the Ashkenazim, it means the tefillah is a different. It's like an exception. It's something else. Women are obligated in the tefillah, just like men. They're obligated shacharit and mincha. The halacha in the Gemara is shacharit and mincha is an obligation, is a chiyuv. Tefilat arvit, to say amidah in arvit, reshut. The meikar adin, a person, you have to say Shema Yisrael at night. It's a mitzvah from the Torah. But the prayer of arvit, the amidah of arvit, is not an obligation. Tefilat arvit reshut. This was one of the arguments between, if you remember, we spoke about in the previous chapter, Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Yoshua. Rabban Gamliel, he said, Tefilat Arvit Chova, Arvit is an obligation. Rabbi Yehoshua, who was not there, Rabban Gamliel was the president he was the Nasi of the Supreme Court. Rabbi Yehoshua said no Tefillat Arvit Reshut. Rabban Gamliel, he got angry that Rabbi Yehoshua was disagreeing with him, and he punished Rabbi Yehoshua. It wasn't the first time, and then it created a whole problem in the Beit Midrash. They overthrew Rabban Gamliel and they instituted somebody else, Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, to be a thing until Rabban Gamliel went back and he made shalom with him. He made shalom with Rabbi Yehoshua. He asked him for forgiveness. Then they brought Rabban Gamliel back to be the Nasi again. But they waited until he got forgiveness from him. Imagine something like this would happen in the United States. They overthrew the government, overthrew the president until he would come back and he would get forgiveness from Rabbi Yehoshua. But in the end, the halakha was like Rabbi Yehoshua, Tefillat Arvit Reshut. However, the Rambam says that the man, us, Kibalnu alenu kechova. We accept it on ourselves like an obligation. Even though it's not an obligation, we accept it upon ourselves as an obligation. To say the tefillah of Arvit. Al kol panim, women are obligated like men according to the Rambam. Though it's not clear what his opinion is on women. There are many who read, and the standard interpretation, what most people accept as the interpretation of the Rambam, including the Sfaradim, including Rav Yosef and many of the Sfaradim, is he explains that what's the reason that tefillah is not is an obligation for women. He says because from the Torah, the Rambam says, a person only has to pray once a day. From the Torah, Mina Torah, meaning Chachamim, they established Shacharit, Mincha, and Arvit to model after the Korbanot. Whenever the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, Chachamim established each tefillah, unshalema, what's the pasuk? Unshalema farim sefatenu. Means instead of the bulls, instead of the korbanot, we have our tefillot. So you have shacharit for the korban of shacharit, mincha for the korban of mincha, musaf and Shabbat for the korban of musaf. Arvit is reshut because there was no korbanot in the night time. They had to finish burning the korbanot from during the day. They had to finish burning them at night time. So it wasn't a full korban. That's why it's called Arvit Reshut. Chachamim only established the three tefillot. But what's the original mitzvah of tefillah? What's the obligation from the Torah of tefillah? It's once a day. It's not 3 times a day. So because of that, is it a mitzvah which is time bound? Is it a mitzvah which has to do with time? It doesn't, because she can say it at any time during the day.
She has the option of either shachris.
She has the option any time of the day that she wants to. It's not a time-bound commandment. And
Shema is time.
the Shema is time-bound because you have in the morning from this time to this time, in the nighttime from this time to this time. So it has a time. But Amidah from the Torah, the original Amidah from the Torah, is not time-bound. So because of that, Rav Yosef says, and many of the Sfaradiot says, for the women who are Sfaradiot, they say 1 Amidah per day. They can say Shacharit or Mincha or Arvit, whichever one they want to say, once every single day. They have to say Arvit.
Something that they should make an effort to do.
It's something they should do. Yeah, it's something they should make an effort. But the Ashkenaziyot, they follow the other Rishon, they say no, every tefillah they have to say. They're obligated in Shacharit and Mincha. Arvit, if they want to, if they don't want to, they say a woman didn't accept it on themselves. Shacharit and Mincha, they should say, the Ashkenaziyot. For the Sfaradiyot, at least 1 Amidah per day, they should say. And why not? Mitzvah to say. And if they want to say Shacharit and Mincha, they can say Shacharit and Mincha. They're allowed to say it. Right. What's the reason why time-bound mitzvah they're obligated in? They're not obligated in? Why? What's the reason why they're exempt from all these mitzvahs? The woman.
To raise kids.
Right, so because they're raising the children. Oh, but I'm going out and I'm making money during the day. Future of Judaism stands with the children. Right? The mother, their job is much more important than the man's job.
Harder work too.
Of course, much more difficult work. Making money is easy. It should only be relative to raising kids. But the women are doing a much more important job. And that's why they're piturot. For many of the mitzvot, they're not obligated to do it because for them to get to the children is much more important. It's a much higher mitzvah that they have to take care of than to take care of some of these mitzvot. But for men, no, men you have to make time for it.
So actually, when they're doing those things, they're getting away from that virus.
They're getting away from that, it's true.
They shouldn't.
So again, they should make an effort to create a pocket in their day. They should say one Amidah for now. But yeah, Shema Yisrael, unless their children are sleeping or something in the morning and they're awake and they're able to have time, and the children, they have to take care of the children. They have to take care of the home. They have to, their husband comes home at night. He wants dinner ready. He wants the home to be clean. It's a mitzvah for her to make her husband happy also. And the whole kiddusha of the home, the kiddusha of Am Yisrael, rests with the woman. All rests with the woman. So they're obligated in tefillah. Uva mezuzah. They're obligated in mezuzah. Mezuzah is not a time-bound commandment. You do it in the morning, you can do it in the evening. If a woman, she lives at home alone, she's a woman is not, she's an almana or whatever, and she lives at home alone, she obligated in mezuzah, she has to put in mezuzah. Of course, she has to put in mezuzah at home. Uva birkat hamazon. And they have to say birkat hamazon. Birkat hamazon is not a time-bound mitzvah. Birkat hamazon is a food-bound mitzvah. A person wants all their days they don't say hamotzi. They don't have to say birkat hamazon. Especially these days, whenever you're not allowed to have carbs anymore. If you have a little bit of carbs, and that's it. You're gonna gain weight. So if you are having bread, birkat hamazon goes after the bread, and it's a mitzvah from the Torah also. Birkat hamazon is the only bracha that, according to all opinions, you're fulfilling a mitzvah from the Torah when you say birkat hamazon. Why? Shneimar from our parasha, this week's parasha, Parashat Ekev, which we're going to read. Haba aleinu l'shalom, ve'achalta, savaka, ve'erachta et Adonai Elohecha la'aretz hatovah asher natanach. You shall eat, you will be satiated, ve'erachta, don't forget. It's easy to make a bracha before, while you're hungry. But whenever you finish eating, don't forget. Ve'erachta yani, say brachat Hashem.
Merci.
Baruch.